All right, Senator Ted Cruz joins us now tonight from the Capitol. Good to have you on, sir. 50% of Somali visas are fraudulent in Minnesota. That information just dropped yesterday at the cabinet meeting. It's a spectacular number. I guess my first question is, are these visas actually going to be revoked? Is something actually going to get done about this?
Well, look, I certainly hope so, and any visa that is fraudulent should be revoked. If you look at what has happened in Minnesota, there has been massive fraud to the tune of billions of dollars bilking the Minnesota taxpayers. Much of that has gone to fraudulent individuals in the Somali community who've been sending that money back to Somalia, and just came out recently, the single largest funder of al-Shabaab, a radical Islamic terrorist group in Somalia, is the taxpayers of Minnesota through fraudulent money that was stolen from the taxpayers. And I got to say, the person in charge of it is Democrat Tim Walz. It is an absolute scandal, but it indicates exactly the kind of bankrupt policies that today's Democrat Party keeps pushing forward.
You know, I heard today from so many different local officials in Minneapolis and in the state of Minnesota that Somalians are the backbone of the community there. The vast majority of these people, according to the White House, are on some form of welfare. Nobody refuted that claim, by the way, today at all, which tells you it likely is very true. There's almost zero assimilation. This is not the immigration of yesterday in this country anymore. We're bringing in liabilities into the country that are costing us a fortune, and it's done for political reasons, I believe, and it's decimating our bottom line. It's decimating our culture. And when asked about it, we hear that they're the backbone of our community without being given any reason why they are.
Yeah, look, those are empty Democrat talking points. If you look at the elected representatives, you've got Ilhan Omar, who is viciously anti-American, a radical leftist. You look up in Dearborn, Michigan, where you've got Rashida Tlaib, same thing. You know, last year you had an entire mob in Dearborn, Michigan chanting "Death to America." And Rashida Tlaib refused to condemn that. Ilhan Omar has been at rallies where people are proclaiming their loyalty to Somalia and proclaiming it over the United States of America. And that is dangerous. And those are both examples of radicals who favor open borders, who favor releasing criminals from jail, who are rabidly anti-Semitic, who are Marxists and hate free enterprise and capitalism, and who hate your rights and my rights. And it is dangerous. And I'll tell you, Rob, the frightening thing is that is no longer the fringe of the Democrat Party. Today, those radicals are the heart of the Democrat Party. They're driving their agenda. You look in New York City at Comrade Mandami, a communist and an Islamist, and that right now is where all the energy is in the Democrat Party, and that is tragic and it's dangerous.
Certainly is. I want to switch, and I want to talk about SNAP here for a second. Another big topic these days. The New York governor, Kathy Hochul, has refused, one of many governors, to refuse to release the names of those receiving SNAP in her state here in New York. There is so much fraud and so much is stolen from this. They don't want to release these names. Here's how she defended that decision today.
What they're saying in Washington is we just want the rolls of people that are on public assistance. You've been resistant about that. Several states have, by the way, more than 20. Why not just say, okay, here are the names of the recipients?
Let me tell you what's going on here. We actually went to court about this because people sign up for a particular program, not to have their name in a, think about, do you really want every bit of information about you in other parts of the government monitoring you?
That's not an answer. That's somebody pretending to care about privacy issues when in reality she's mortified of what will happen to her political party if we throw the millions of fraudulent welfare junkies off of the hind teat, which of course is their source of power. How many people can they get onto SNAP? How many people can they get onto support?
Well, Rob, I'm going to say something that's going to surprise you, which is actually I agree with Kathy Hochul, but in a way that perhaps she didn't intend, which is if she doesn't want to release the list of who in New York is getting SNAP benefits, that's great. The federal taxpayer shouldn't pay for it. She can burden New York taxpayers with as many fraudulent cheats as she wants. But if she won't give the names, why the hell does she want money from the federal government and she won't even tell them the names of who's receiving it? And it's because the Democrat Party, in an organized and systematic manner, supports fraud. We were talking about Minnesota a minute ago. 2 days ago, the Minnesota Government Employees Union put out a long statement on Twitter saying Tim Walz is 100% responsible for this multi-billion-dollar theft and fraud. I'll tell you, you look at something like Obamacare, there are 24 million Americans right now on the Obamacare exchanges. The estimates are 6 million of those are fraudulent. They're just bilking the taxpayers, and there's not a single Democrat in the Senate willing to do a thing about it. So if Kathy Hochul wants to embrace and defend fraudsters, knock yourself out. But I think the Trump administration should say you're not getting a penny of federal money until you produce that list.
I love that. I absolutely love that. That's exactly right. I got 30 seconds left. I saw you at the White House today. Trump terminating Biden's corporate average fuel economy standards, the CAFE standards they call them, lowering the standards so automakers can sell more gas-powered vehicles, making new cars cheaper. Why was this so important?
Look, this is a big deal. It's going to lower the cost of cars by thousands of dollars, lower the cost of trucks by thousands of dollars. I authored the legislation in the Senate in the one big, beautiful bill that zeroed out these CAFE standards. And as a result, you're going to be able to get the car you want. It's your choice. You're also going to get safer cars because Biden's CAFE standards made automakers replace steel with plastic, which meant in accidents a lot more Americans died. And so what the president did today and what Congress did is going to save Americans' lives, and it's going to make cars and trucks a lot less expensive.
Love to hear it. Senator Ted Cruz, good to see you, sir. Thank you. You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.